Take a breath. Now imagine this. What if everything you experience, every opportunity, every obstacle, every miracle, is responding to the energy of your focus? What if the life you're living is not happening to you, but through you? Shaped by the very thoughts you repeat, the emotions you rehearse, and the vision you hold with your heart, not just your eyes. This is not fantasy. It's neuroscience. It's quantum law. What's the truth most people ignore? What you focus on. You attract, asterisk, every single thought you think begins as an electrical impulse in your brain. It's not just a fleeting moment of imagination. It's an energetic signal. And here's where it becomes life-altering. The moment you consistently think a certain thought, especially when it's charged with emotion, you begin to hardwire it into your brain structure. It becomes a neural pathway, a groove in the landscape of your mind and your body. The servant to the mind starts to follow that pattern automatically. That's how habits form. That's how identities form. It's how reality starts to mirror the inside of your head. Now think about this. You wake up in the morning, and before your feet even hit the floor, your brain starts downloading memories. The same routine thoughts. I'm tired. I have so much to do. I'm not where I want to be. And each of those thoughts connects to a familiar feeling, maybe anxiety, maybe frustration, maybe sadness. The moment you feel those emotions, your body thinks it's back in the past. Your biology doesn't know that you just woke up today, believes you're still living yesterday. So what happens? You begin your day not by stepping into a new future, but by recreating the past. You repeat the same thought-emotion loops that keep you locked in the same reality. It's a kind of hypnotic state living from the memorized. It's a version of yourself instead of the potential that exists beyond. What you've known, here's the truth. Your thoughts are not just responses. To your environment, they are blueprints. They're instructions. And the universe your life experience listens not to what you say you want, but to what you habitually focus on. The mind is a magnet. Whatever you keep your attention on, you begin to pull into your experience, not just metaphorically, but biologically, chemically, energetically. Imagine someone who constantly thinks about what's missing in their life. They focus on lack. They focus on loneliness. They focus on fear. Over time, their brain becomes wired to see only what's not there. Even if opportunities show up, they miss them. Even if love appears, they don't trust it, because their perception has been shaped by years of mental rehearsal. Their brain is no longer seeking truth, seeking evidence to confirm the story it's already accepted. But now, picture someone who decides consciously that they will focus on gratitude, that even in difficulty, they'll find something to appreciate. Every time the old thoughts of limitation try to creep in, they replace them with a vision of possibility. At first, it's not easy. The old self resists. The brain doesn't want to change. But with repetition, with intention, that person starts building new circuits. Their body learns a new feeling. They start experiencing emotions before the event even happens. And this is where it gets powerful. Because when you can feel elevated emotions like joy, or freedom, or love without needing your environment to trigger them, you are no longer a victim of your reality. You become a creator of it. You're signaling your body and your brain that the event has already occurred. And the brain, remember, doesn't know the difference between the real experience and the one you vividly imagine. So what do you think happens next? The outer world begins to align with your inner reality. You begin to notice synchronicities. You meet people who seem to match your new energy. You stumble across opportunities that feel like perfect timing. This isn't magic. It's coherence. It's the alignment of intention, emotion, and attention. But it begins with thought. It's just one. One thought held with clarity and emotion is more powerful than 1,000 random ones. And when you commit to thinking greater than how you feel, hold the image of your future self in your mind even when your environment tells you otherwise. You begin to pull that future toward you. You're not just imagining. You're reprogramming. You're changing the story. You're stepping out of the known and into the field of possibility. And that's where transformation lives. Not in reacting to life, but in choosing again and again what you will focus on. Because that focus is your frequency. That focus is your invitation. That focus is the force that shapes the very structure of your reality. Asterisk, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. This is more than a saying, it's a scientific truth rooted in how your brain and body communicate. Attention is the mechanism by which you direct the life force within you. It's not passive. It's not invisible. It's the very tool that either binds you to the past or liberates you into a new future. Most people don't realize that where they consistently focus their attention, they are building connections, relationships, emotional attachments. And so, unconsciously, they are investing their energy into things that reinforce who they've been, not who they want to become. If your attention is constantly absorbed by your external environment or job, your bank account, the news, your social media notifications, then your energy is scattered, fragmented. You're leaking power into everything around you. And because you're giving your energy to things outside of you, you have very little left for the inside. Your inner world begins to wither. You feel anxious, disconnected, depleted, not because something's wrong with you, but because you haven't learned to bring your attention back home. When you wake up in the morning and immediately check your phone, your mind is no longer in the present moment. You've handed over your awareness to someone else's agenda, someone else's opinion, someone else's crisis. And without realizing it, your energy follows. The brain becomes conditioned to seek stimulation, to react to external cues. You lose the ability to generate your own thoughts, to command your own emotional state. And yet you wonder why life feels repetitive, why change seems so difficult. The answer is simple, but profound. You're spending your attention like currency. First thing in the morning, you turned inward. Before checking the world, you checked in with yourself. You asked, where am I placing my attention today? Am I putting it on what I fear or on what I'm becoming? That small shift initiates a massive energetic redirection. You are no longer reacting to life. You are rehearsing it. You are setting the tone, setting the frequency. Here's the science behind it. When you focus on something with intention and emotional intensity, you begin to create coherence between your brain and your heart. Your body receives new instructions. Neurons fire in new sequences. Chemistry changes. You're no longer broadcasting the energy of stress or survival. You're broadcasting the energy of creation. And what you broadcast, you magnetize. Attention isn't just mental. It's electromagnetic. When you lock your awareness onto a vision, when you give it your full presence and emotion, you become a beacon. You emit a signature into the quantum field. You're telling the universe, this is who I am becoming. And the universe begins to respond, not in the way you think, but in the way you are. But let's be honest, this takes discipline. Most people don't know how to manage their attention because they've never been taught. They've been conditioned to consume, to react, to multitask. And in doing so, their energy is constantly dispersed. They feel exhausted, not because they're doing too much, but because they're thinking in too many directions. Their attention is like light scattered across 1,000 surfaces, never intense enough to cause transformation. You have to train your mind to focus like a laser, not scatter like a flashlight. That means removing distractions. That means becoming more interested in your future than in your familiar past. It means making your inner world more real than anything outside of you. Because when the inner world becomes more real than the outer, you step into the seat of power. You begin to influence matter with your mind. You begin to experience synchronicity, momentum, flow, not because you're lucky, but because you've aligned your energy with your intention. The heart of transformation lies in this moment, right now. Where is your attention? Are you ruminating on something that went wrong yesterday? Are you imagining worst-case scenarios that haven't even happened? If so, then your energy is stuck in a timeline you no longer want to live. And the only way to break free is to take your attention out of the known and place it on the unknown, the space of possibility, the space of potential. This is not about pretending or denying what is. It's about becoming conscious of your creative power. You've rehearsed stress. You've memorized worry. What would happen if you started rehearsing freedom? What would happen if every day you devoted even 5 minutes to focusing on who you want to be, how you want to feel, what you want to contribute? That 5 minutes becomes a portal. Okay, a portal to a different future. And as you repeat that process daily, something remarkable begins to happen. Your body starts to believe it's already in that future. The chemistry of your brain begins to mirror your vision. You become less reactive, more intuitive. You no longer chase the outcome, you become the embodiment of it. This is how you collapse time. This is how manifestation becomes less about effort and more about alignment. And the only way to do that consistently is to protect your attention like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Everything you want, everything you are destined to become, exists in the field beyond distraction, beyond doubt. And the bridge to that field is your focus. You are the observer, and what you observe becomes real. So the question isn't, is it possible? It real in my mind before it's real in my world? You've already done it, just in the wrong direction. You've held your attention on what you didn't want. You've felt it, rehearsed it, lived it. Now you know how the system works. Now it's time to reverse the flow. Direct your energy with intelligence. Place your attention on elevated thoughts, and watch how life begins to bend in your favor, not because something outside of you changed, but because you changed from the inside. That's not just transformation. That's true creation. You cannot create a new future while clinging to the emotions and thoughts of your past, or healing, but they wake up every morning as the same emotional version of themselves. And so, they unconsciously repeat the same behaviors, respond with the same attitudes, and feel the same chemical states. Without even realizing it, they are reliving yesterday - today. The mind is a record of the past. Every thought you've repeated, every emotion you've memorized, every decision you've made has shaped your neurological and biochemical identity. Over time, that identity becomes so familiar, so rehearsed, it runs on autopilot. You don't even need to think about it. The body becomes the mind. It knows how to react, how to fear, how to stress, how to sabotage. All without your conscious involvement. And so, even if you say you want something new, unless you become someone new, you'll always get more of the same. That's why true transformation isn't about changing your environment first. It's about breaking the habit of being who you've always been. It requires you to get honest, not just about what you do, but about how you think and feel. Most of us are addicted to emotional states: anger, guilt, shame, worrying, not because we enjoy them, but because they are familiar, even if it's destroying us. When you begin the process of change, your body doesn't celebrate, it protests. If you've spent years feeling powerless and suddenly decide to feel empowered, your body will resist. It will whisper that it's not real, that it's not safe, that you're just pretending. But that discomfort, that inner turbulence, that's the edge of your old identity unraveling. And if you can sit in that discomfort, observe it without reacting, and choose a new thought, a new feeling, a new belief, you're literally rewiring your brain. Think of it like this. Every time you interrupt a thought pattern, you're pruning away the neural pathway that supports it. And every time you fire a new pattern, one aligned with the future you want to create, you're laying down the foundation for a new self. You're no longer relying on the external world to define your identity. You're generating it from within and the body. The body has to come along. It holds the chemical signatures of every emotion you felt and memorized. So to fully transform, you must recondition your body to a new emotional state. If you want to be abundant, you have to teach your body what abundance feels like. Before it shows up in your bank account, in your relationships, in your health, you have to become it now. This is where most people give up, because they don't feel it yet, because their outer world doesn't reflect it yet. They say, it's not working. But the moment you say it's not working, you're back to being the old self. The new self doesn't wait for the evidence, it becomes the evidence. That's the work. Reconditioning your body means interrupting the addiction to familiar emotions. It means catching yourself before you slip into the routine of self-pity, frustration, or fear. It means becoming so aware of your internal world that you can pause, breathe, and choose to elevate. It takes practice, but it's how you move from survival to creation. Imagine waking up in the morning And instead of immediately remembering your problems, your pain, your to-do list, you sit in stillness. You breathe. You tune into the present moment. Who do I want to be today? Not what do I have to do, who do I want to be? Calm, confident, grateful, focused. Then you begin to embody those emotions. You create coherence between your brain and your heart. You align your internal state with your intention, and suddenly, you're no longer a prisoner of your environmentura, the architect of your day. When you do this consistently, the body begins to remember this new emotional state. You condition it. You teach it. Eventually, that new feeling becomes more familiar than the old one. You're no longer addicted to the past. You're rehearsing your future. And it begins to show up, not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. This process rewires your nervous system. It recalibrates your biochemistry. You're creating a new internal map, one that matches the vision of who you're becoming. And as you hold that state, regardless of what's happening outside of you, you send a clear signal into the field. I am this. I'm no longer waiting to feel different. I've decided. That decision, repeated daily, becomes your new state of being. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. Each time you catch yourself slipping into the old self and redirect your thoughts, your breath, your energy, you reclaim your power. Each time you override the body's urge to feel familiar suffering and instead choose joy, calm, or gratitude, you recondition your nervous system to a new destiny. The truth is, the old self doesn't die peacefully, kicks and screams. That's not who I am becoming. Over time, your mind and body come into alignment. You stop thinking like the old self. You stop feeling like the old self. Chase transformation. You attract it. You don't force the outcome. You allow it. Rewiring the mind and reconditioning the body is not just about healing trauma or fixing problems. It's about stepping into the truth of who you really are, beyond the patterns, beyond the programs, beyond the pain. You are not your past. You are not your fears. You are not your habits. You are consciousness with the power to reshape your experience from the inside out. And when you truly understand that, you no longer need the world to change for you to feel whole. You bring wholeness to the world by being it. Asterisk. Most people are waiting for their life to change before they allow themselves to feel differently. They wait for the money to come before they feel abundant. But that model of reality is rooted in separation. It assumes that something outside of you must shift in order for you to feel something inside of you. And that's the illusion we've all been taught to believe, that your inner world is at the mercy of your outer world. But what if the opposite is true? What if your outer world is simply reflecting who you are being in your inner world? Because when you feel it before you see it, you are no longer reacting to reality. You are creating it. That's not just spiritual theory. That's neuroscience, biology, and quantum physics converging on one universal truth. Your emotional state is the signal you send out, and the feedback loop of life responds accordingly. Think about how most people live. Their environment is constantly dictating how they feel. They read the news and feel fear. They get an unexpected bill and feel scarcity. Someone criticizes them and they feel unworthy. In those moments, their body is responding chemically to a condition in their external world that they're caught in, a cycle of cause and effect. Every time they react to the outer world, they reinforce the same neural networks. But if you want to change your life, you have to break that cycle. You must begin with the effect you want to cause. That means stepping into the feeling of your desired future not once it arrives, but now, before there's any physical evidence. When you do that, you're telling your body a new story. You're signaling new genes. You're broadcasting a different electromagnetic signature into the field. And because the quantum field responds not to what we want, but to who we are being, you begin to attract experiences that match your new state of being. Now, here's the challenge. The moment you decide to feel whole, worthy, abundant, or free without needing your external world to reflect it, the old self will rise. The voice will whisper, "This isn't real. You're lying to yourself. Look at your bank account. Look at your body. Look at your past. But that voice isn't truth. It's memory. It's your identity trying to pull you back into what's familiar, even if what's familiar is pain. You don't need to believe every thought that arises. You only need to decide which ones you're going to give energy to. When you feel abundant without a reason, you're overriding your past. When you feel love without someone else's permission, you're breaking the dependency. When you feel gratitude for a future that hasn't yet manifested, you're aligning your body and mind with the frequency of creation itself. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools in this process because it is the emotion we feel when we receive something. When you begin to feel gratitude in advance, your body believes it's already received what you asked for. It begins to trust, begins to relax out of survival. You stop chasing outcomes and start embodying the feeling of the fulfilled version of yourself. This is not about pretending. It's about rehearsing a new future so often that it becomes familiar. And once it becomes familiar, it becomes possible. The brain doesn't know the difference between an actual experience in your life and one you vividly imagine with emotion. So if you rehearse success, healing, love, freedom over and over again, your brain begins to map out new possibilities. You're priming it to notice opportunities, synchronicities, and outcomes that match your inner reality. When you feel elevated emotions, you also enter heart-brain coherence. Your nervous system shifts from stress to balance. Your energy field becomes more organized. You think clearer. You make decisions from alignment rather than fear. You stop reacting and start responding with intention. This is the internal environment that gives rise to real, lasting change. Let's bring it down to something practical. Close your eyes, take a breath. Now picture the future you desire vividly. Not as a wish, but as a memory of something. That has already happened. Who are you in that future? How do you walk? How do you speak? What does your energy feel like? Most importantly, what emotions live in your body as that version of you? Is it peace, confidence, joy? Feel it not with your head, but with your heart. Stay with that feeling. Breathe it in. Teach your body what it feels like to live there. The longer you can sustain that feeling, the more you recondition your body to that future. You begin to embody a new state of being. And the more you practice this, the less you care about when or how your desire shows up, because you're already experiencing the essence of it. And from that space of fullness, trust, and coherence, your external reality begins to shift to reflect your internal transformation. This is why healing, abundance, and love often arrive when we no longer need them, because we've become them. We've stopped waiting. We've stopped chasing. We've stopped believing that we're incomplete. Until something outside of us changes. And when we become whole within ourselves, the world cannot help but mirror that back to us. Creation is not about hoping. It's not about forcing. It's about aligning. When your mind and body are in harmony with a clear intention and an elevated emotion, you're in the sweet spot of change. You're no longer operating from the known. You're stepping into the unknown, where all possibility lives. You don't need to know the how. The how is not your job. Your job is to become the version of you who already has it. To feel it so deeply, so consistently, that your body begins to believe it's already happened. And when that belief is stronger than your past conditioning, your environment will rearrange. The people, the circumstances, the opportunities will appear not by chance, but by resonance. Because you're no longer trying to create something you're attracting what already exists in the field, waiting for you to match it. You are not separate from the life you want. You are connected to it in ways you can't yet see. And when you feel it before you see it, you close that gap. You collapse time. You draw the future into the now by embodying the energy of the outcome, again and again, until it feels more real than your current circumstances. This is how you step out of the old self. This is how you become the future you, before the world gives you a reason. And when you do, the world begins to reflect the new you, not because you forced it, but because you remembered that you are. The cause, you are the signal. You are the creator. Today, choose differently. Don't just listen to this. Live this. Every moment is a new chance to focus, new chance to elevate, a new chance to attract the life your soul knows is possible. So tell me, what are you focusing on today? Drop it in the comments. Let's raise the collective energy together. If this message moved you, like it, share it, and speak it into someone else's life. Because what we focus on, we become. And the world becomes better because of it.